Okay, we're back with the final part, which is part 6. I'd like to promise you that I won't eat peanuts, but I can't make that promise. Video time. He's going to tell us what he believes, I believe, was the solution. Or he has a solution, I believe. I believe that's where we ended. I don't know. I don't remember. All right.
Piers, this is never about Hamas. Believe me, it is never about Hamas. If somebody tells you who they are, listen. Israel has been telling the world all the time, they need to clear the Gaza Strip into Egypt.
You think that's always been the plan?
Always there. I mean, they have said it. They have said it many times. Why does Egypt take them? And do you think when Egypt takes them, do you think they go back? No, never. And then when they're done with Gaza, they will go back to the West Bank. They will kind of like build the settlements around them, and then until they push them into Jordan, because that is the plan. They have talked, not just Benjamin Netanyahu, everybody said like, there's no state, two states. It is one state, and it's for the Jewish
I don't
people.
think he believes in a two-state solution.
Nobody believes in a two-state solution. It is one state.
But nor do Hamas, obviously. And they're the ruling authority in Gaza.
They
don't.
You see what you're comparing? It's a militant group. It's a small militant group.
But they are
Israel as a nation...
They are the elected political leadership.
They were elected in 2006, and 50% of the people in Gaza right now are under the age of 16. They were not even born.
I understand.
Yeah, like so. And the
so
thing,
all right. So Bassem, let's agree about that.
But that's the circle city. It's Hamas,
I understand. It's
Hamas,
a circular firing squad.
Hamas.
I know, but okay. Let's move forward.
Oh yeah.
Let's assume somehow we get to a place, possibly at the instigation of countries like Saudi Arabia and others getting directly involved, where you get to a place where Hamas are removed, and I don't quite see how that happens without enormous further bloodshed, but let's assume they get removed. Let's assume that Netanyahu is removed from office, which I think is highly likely just from the fury of his own people about what they see as the defensive and security failings, plus his attack on the Supreme Court already causing huge polarization. Let's assume we get new leadership in both places. Could there still be peace? Could there still be a two-state solution?
No.
It can never happen.
No, because Israel have already shown it's not about Netanyahu. It is the policy of Israel not to give the Palestinians their seat. It has always been there.
But what if you find leadership that understands?
You will not.
But why are you so...
You will not.
Why do you not think so?
Because Israel has been...
But they would say the same about the other side. And I remember...
Who has the power?
Let me give you a parallel.
Obama in his book...
Let me give you a parallel.
Okay.
Let me give you a parallel. Northern Ireland, okay? Northern Ireland appeared to be completely intractable, with the IRA and the loyalist paramilitaries trying to kill each other. In the IRA's case, trying to kill British people as well, because they did not want this to go the way that people wanted it to go. And ultimately, we got to peace because we found leaders who actually had the courage, the moral courage, to get in the room with the people that were trying to kill them and to do a deal. I don't think you can do that with Hamas. They're on a different scale altogether to the IRA. But we did have a seemingly intractable place.
I just want to counter that. Ireland and England, Scotland, the UK, they're different, but they're the same, if that makes sense. Palestinians, Israelis, they're not really the same. They live side by side, but they're not the same. They're different religion, they're different thoughts of how to go about with life. So Israel's never going to elect a president who's going to say, you know what, Palestinians should be allowed to live here. No, they're not good. No, we don't want that person here. Palestinians are never going to elect somebody who's going to say, you know what, let's get out of here. We'll just give this to Israel. No, they're not going to do that either. So you're never going to have something from the inside where elected people are. It's not going to happen. And I think that what he's saying is it's an example, but it's also that there's more in those people have more in common. Ireland, Scotland, England have more in common than Palestinians and Israelis. Even though they're living side by side, they're not the same. That's the defense I would say for to counter what he's saying.
Riddled with violence on both sides, and eventually we got peace. Do you not see there's any chance of doing that here?
No, not with Israel. Obama, after he left office, he wrote in his book, the problem with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is that one side is extremely powerful and one side is extremely weak. There is absolutely nothing to oblige that strong side to give anything. All over the years, Israel showed...
Look at the history of the world. At one point, England was the most powerful country on the face of the earth. Powerful military, navy. That was powerful. Most powerful navy was what I was thinking of. I said military, but still powerful military. They were going all over the world, kicking ass, taking names, taking land, drinking tea. You know, just they were doing what they did. They had no reason, being at the top, to negotiate with anyone. They were here. Why would they negotiate with anyone down here? The War of Independence, the American Revolutionary War, England's here. The U.S. is here. Well, the colonies were here. They pushed taxes, and I get it. They'd helped us win the French and Indian War. 7 Years' War, as the world calls it. And they needed us to start paying our fair share to them. A lot of people believe that the U.S., that the colonies weren't paying taxes. They were paying internal taxes. They didn't want to pay taxes to England because they didn't have representation. Saying here is no taxation without representation. England was like, we don't care. So they continued, the tea tax and other things, and they made them, you want to buy things, you want to buy sugar, molasses, great, you're going to buy them from our colonies. You want to buy this, great, you're going to pay for it through this. They were just trying to recoup their money, and I get that. I completely understand that. You want to recoup your money because you had to fight a war over. You fought a war all over the world, but you had to fight a war here to protect your colonies, and now you want those colonies to pay. I get it, but I also understand that if you want to tax us, we want to have people in power in Parliament representing us. And they said no. Well, now you got a sticking point. So England had no reason to bow down to the colonies. There's no reason to. Why would they negotiate? We own you. You are subservient to us. You are our colonies. You represent us. We are you. So when we tell you to do something, you do it. And every country in a position of power, U.S. does it now, every country in a position of power does not feel the need to bend at the knee for a weaker country. So Israel will never negotiate on a level with the Palestinians because they would consider that an act of, weakness. It's it is what it is.
I told you many times that they are not interested in peace. Leave Gaza. Forget Hamas for a second. The West Bank. What have they been doing in the West Bank? The illegal settlements did not stop a single day.
And it's completely wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is,
it's wrong. I agree with you.
But you see what they're doing in the West Bank right now? They are creating little Gazas. They are creating little Gazas.
Yeah.
And until they are squeeze them.
It's completely wrong.
There is a hilarious documentary called The Wanted 18. It is like an Israeli-Palestinian co-production. And it tells about the incredible story about the residents of Beit Sahur. It's a Palestinian town next to the Nazareth. And they said they don't want to depend on the milk coming from the kibbutz. So they bought 18 cows. 18 cows. And they didn't know how to milk the cows or have a cow farm. So they were like engineers and doctors. So they sent people to to learn how to do the farm. So they bought the cows and they started to produce milk and they started to sell the milk to the villages. The Israeli authorities were not very comfortable. So one day the military government came in and said, those cows, and I quote, constitutes an existential threat to to the national security of the state of Israel. You need to get rid of them. And the movie goes about like the hilarious attempts of hiding those cows between the butchers and the houses. And in one scene, a cow is actually running, and the Israeli soldiers are like running behind it, and they corner it, and they corner it, and they're about to kill it. And you know what did the cow say? You didn't fall for this. Cows don't speak. Yeah! But you know, it actually said something. You know what did it say? It said Hamas. But anyway.
I almost said moo.
But you see, this is the ideology of the Israeli ruling party. They are not interested. They're not even allowing you to get your own cows. I mean, I want to discuss something that is very important, because we have been talking about Israel being a democratic state, a secular state for all of its citizens, including its Arab residents, right? Wrong,
Yes.
wrong, wrong, wrong. 2018, there was a resolution that was offered in the Knesset that say that Israel should be a state for all of its citizens. That seems basic, right? That resolution was not even allowed to be discussed. It's like, wait, why? And the rebuttal was, Israel being the state of all of its citizens would threaten the character of the Jewish state. There is, I have a friend of mine, his name is Andrew. He's Palestinian Christian. They do exist. And his family comes from a town called Tarshiha. As many Palestinian towns, these were like, you know, had another Israeli town called Kafar Vradim. It is a left-leaning town. They voted against Netanyahu by 70%. And they announced an auction to sell houses. And then they noticed that most of the applicants were Palestinians. They canceled the auction. Why? Because in each Jewish town, there is something called admission committee that can decide who can live in this town. Sounds like Jim Crow for me. And then they canceled. And you know what they say in the reason? They say, Kafar Vradim welcomes all citizens of Israel, despite their race, gender, or color. However, the majority of the town would like to preserve the character of the town as being Jewish, Zionist, and secular. How does this go together, secular and Jewish aside? You know, and this brings me to this picture. This is a very famous picture. You know, remember this picture? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
This, for the people who don't know, this from San Augustine, Florida, 18th of June, 1964. This was a white-only motel. And these are...
If I remember, it was a whites-only hotel. Black people started going swimming, and he is pouring... See, I want to say acid, but I know that's not right, and that would be extremely bad. But they were pouring things into the pool, trying to splash it on them and get into the pool. So it was something toxic. I don't remember what they were pouring.
These are black activists who wanted to defy the law and jump into the hotel. This guy, he's the owner of the hotel. His name is James Brooke, and he was pouring acid to scare them out of the hotel. His neighbor said that James Brooke was a victim because he was just following the law. And you know what James Brooke said? He said, it's not like I don't like black people. I just don't like them in my swimming pools. Now, if an official said that, wouldn't you say that this town has kind of a systemic racism?
Yes.
This quote was not said by James Brooke. It was said by didnt, the head of the Galilee municipality, when he said, I don't like Arabs. I don't just like them in my swimming pools. The town of Nazareth Elite, 2010, the Arab Christians in the town, they requested to set up the Christmas tree next to Nazareth. This is the birthplace of Jesus. And you know what they said? We cannot have it because non-Jewish symbols would offend Jewish residents.
But this comes back to what you were saying at the start, which is about the hate on both sides.
No, I'm not talking about the hate. I'm talking about this shining example that Israel won't tell the world that we are like the Western world. We are secular. I don't know if you know this, but they're not just like secular, like Christians against their own Arab. I'm talking about like Arabs with Palestinian, with Israeli identity. I'm talking about them being even racist against their own people. 1950, Yemenis immigrants that came from Yemen, and they were in the transition camp waiting to be transferred into Israel. Their kids were taken away from them and given to white Ashkenazi Jews because they were not white enough.
But Bassem, what would happen if a Jewish person went to Gaza?
I don't know anything about that. Huh. I don't know anything about that. I'll have to look that up.
Why would they go to Gaza?
Exactly.
Even I wouldn't go to Gaza.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, it's a dystopia. Who would? But I'm just.
So it's not just. You're raising points about Israel, making out that somehow they're as bad or worse.
No. But
what's going on there?
No,
Hamas has ruled over
yes,
the Palestinians in the most oppressive way imaginable.
Absolutely, but you know what? Hamas never claimed that they are the only democracy in the region. They never claimed that they are secular. They never said that they adopt Western tradition. And they definitely, they did not use that lie in order to carpet bomb a whole country.
Okay.
Now here, I want to say one example. And I'm going to leave you.
All right.
Israel, you think that Israel will by the way, the whole thing about the Yemeni children, you can find it in New York Times. It's called like the lost children of Israel, the forgotten. But even when Ethiopian people were immigrated to Israel, Ethiopian Jews, women then report 2013. That is not like 50 years ago. They reported that they were given against their consent and without their knowledge contraceptive shots so they wouldn't reproduce because they are the wrong color. Israel is a racist, apartheid country that is projecting this shiny example of secularism and democracy for the people so people can accept whatever they do because they look at Palestinians as lesser people. This is the whole point. This is the whole point. And I would like to quote Winston Churchill. He had a quote that say, I don't believe that we have made a great wrong to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia because they were replaced by a higher race, a stronger race, a more world-wisely race. This is why Queen Rania is criticizing the West. This is why we here said, like, where are your values? Because this is the crux of the problem. It's not Hamas. It's not Palestine. It is people looking at us as lesser human beings.
Bassem? I don't dispute the characterization that a lot of the Israel administration look upon Palestinians as lesser people. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
They even look at the Ethiopian Jews and Yemeni Jews like less.
I wouldn't dispute that. I want to quote you to end this.
No, why would you end this? Don't end this.
We'll be talking for 2 hours.
Why not?
At some point,
we're having an amazing time.
We can do another interview. Well, this one goes big. I think this is a neat way to end it. He said, I actually believe there is a middle ground between everybody and they can meet. I direct my criticism for the extreme of each one of them. That was you, Bassem Youssef. I agree with that. But I don't share your view there can never be peace in this region. I think there can't be with the current leadership structures in both countries or both places. But I definitely think you've got to be optimistic about peace. You just need to find people looking forward to it.
I hope so. But the reason, listen, I refused to come on your show when your producer first called me for the first interview because I was scared. I was afraid. For me, that was a career suicide. Because I'm talking. This is even important because you are someone who's always talked about like against cancel culture, about like speaking your mind out, speaking your mind out. I left Egypt. And I came to America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, but I didn't know that there was a fine print said that you cannot speak about Israel. I have issue with that. Israel is a foreign country. They're allies, good.
But you can speak about Israel.
How many people lost their jobs? Even
I'm not going to say you can't speak about Israel. But it is viewed negatively if you did. Like the support of Israel is supposed to be guaranteed because we're allies with them. You know, you're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed. It's just that you're frowned upon if you were. Just,
Bella Hadid, Bella Hadid, Bella Hadid, she's
I said, just, I muted the mic before I could say sang. Apologies.
Bella, by the way, Bella.
She hasn't lost her job.
No, but she talked about death threats. She's talking about like being silenced.
Sure.
By the way, Bella Hadid is with us. She's Palestinian. And you know who else? Gigi Hadid sisters.
I love the Hadid.
They are with us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
so
know them both. They're very nice.
yeah, but the thing is, if you are that high and you cannot speak about it, and it's not about it's
Well, you
like
can. You just have to. You can. I mean, I've spoken out about these issues, and you get shot at, not literally, but metaphorically, all day long on social media. But that shouldn't stop people from doing it.
I'm just like wondering, as an
You
American,
do?
as an American, yeah, but like, I'm doing now because like the first interview went well.
Right.
I'm doing that because I want people to see that you can really speak up and not just get canceled, but get rewarded. My career is going fine.
Yeah.
It's great because I want people to have the courage. There should be no limits. I'm
I agree with that.
kind of like so confused as an American citizen why every American presidential candidate have to go and kiss the hand and bend the knees to AIPAC. This is a lobby that works for a foreign country interest. Why don't we have like a lobby for Saudi Arabia? At least they're giving us more money.
You know the great thing? You can say that here.
Yes,
You couldn't say it in Egypt. That's why you're living here.
yes. But again, a lot of people feel the burn, the heat
But
whenever they come
but if I
down.
was an American, I'd be going, all right, Bassem, all right, we'll take the criticism because you can do that in this country.
And I'm happy.
When you criticize the government in your own country,
Yeah.
they drove you out.
Yes, and that's why I came to America, to play the white man's game, to actually to pass this acquired white privilege to my children. But the problem
it's not
is,
just a country of white people.
But here's the problem.
And the white man's game, the game in America is not a white man's game. It's a game that actually has a democracy and believes in freedom
But there
of
are
speech.
dog whistles everywhere.
You're not going to be put in jail for this interview.
Or I can lose my career and I can lose jobs, and you know that.
You
know
could
that.
in Egypt, you could.
No, here you can.
In Egypt, they arrested.
In America, you can too. He's running that risk of saying things that people don't like because they're pro-Israel, and so they will attack him verbally, Twitter, whatever, try to get him fired, try to make him grovel to apologize, and even then, they're still not going to be happy with it. So that's another reason why if people were to come after me, like, I don't care. What do you think you're really going to accomplish? You get me fired, I can get another job. Like, are you wanting me to apologize and say I'm sorry and whatever it takes? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because that's just not who I am. If I'm wrong and I'll admit it. But to tell me I'm wrong because my opinion is different than yours doesn't make me wrong. It means we have different opinions. And I'm not going to grovel because of that. So, yes, he's absolutely right. In this country, you could lose, even though you have freedom of speech. Yes, that doesn't mean that some people won't try to take things from you. And I will say this, the people that are doing that are more democratic. And that's the side that I lean on, but that's the side that will try to attack first. Because you're saying things that we don't agree with. It's very childish.
Here you can.
And they threatened you, and you would have probably ended up in prison or dead.
Here, a lot of people lost their jobs because they spoke up.
It depends what they say.
Of course, but again,
If you're Kanye West and you spew anti-Semitic,
No. He could lose his job just by saying Palestinians have every right to defend their land. All you're going to hear from other people is, what? But Israel was attacked, and now the fighting begins. And they don't like what you've said. And so, yeah, he's absolutely right. People will come after him because of that. Because they don't care. You disagree with them, and their side is right. So how they win that is to get you shut down. And you say things on Twitter, you say things on YouTube, you can get censored, you can get stuff removed, you can get your account suspended because you're not going along with the status quo of the opinion. So that means that opinion is right. and you're not going along with it. You're not agreeing with it. So we have to quiet you down because we can't offend the other people. Because Lord knows you can't offend people with soft ears. You have to go along with them. I have relatives, people that I know, that will say something, and I will just look at them and say, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard." And they're like, "That's offensive." And they turn to be a victim. And they will turn to be a victim. And suddenly, I have to apologize because my words hurt them. And it's like, my words didn't hurt you at all. You didn't cry. Nothing got broken. Like, no bones were broken. You didn't cry. You weren't violently assaulted. Like, your ears did not come under some attack. You didn't like what I had to say. I didn't like what you had to say. But I was an adult about it. I just retaliated back by giving my opinion. I didn't go, "How dare you?" I do that now occasionally. It really pisses off some people that I know. They'll say something and I'll go, "What?" And they're just like, "Oh." And I'm like, "How dare you? That's an act of violence against me." They don't like it either. And it's funny that they don't like that I do that, but yet I have to respect their opinion and respect their thoughts and feelings on issues. But they don't do the same for me. Isn't it funny how that works out in life?
No, I'm not. No, I'm
You're gonna
I will
lose-
never.
you're gonna lose what you
I
have.
will never adopt that kind of point
Right.
of view. But the thing is, there is dog whistles everywhere. As I told you at the beginning, you cannot just say it's like anti-Semite. Like, I mean, now how come that the Palestinian flag is outlawed? By the way, it's outlawed in Israel. If you raise the Palestinian, you go to jail. And now they're saying like the Palestinian flag is a pro-Hamas. No, it's not a pro-Hamas. You know, I was doing a comedy show in Arizona, and a guy was like wearing like a kufaya, like a scarf, and I took it, and I'm not like in hyperbole and like wearing symbols, but I just took it because like, why are we gonna outlaw colors and flags? That is absurd. That is not right.
I agree. I don't think you should. But you should certainly outlaw Hamas.
They're already outlaw. I mean,
Right.
I'm not supporting
they're a
them.
terror group, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the people with the power, the people who supposedly have the...
And you should, by the way, I will say this, you should be able to criticize the Israeli government without being accused of
Yes,
being anti-Semitic.
but-
I have in this interview repeatedly, and I'm not anti-Semitic. I just have a problem with all of what the Israeli government's been doing.
And I have a problem with how any criticism to Israel by some circles here are considered anti-Semite. This is not fair.
But a lot of the people doing it are actually anti-Semitic.
Yes, but also a lot of Zionists are against Israel, that they hate the Jews. You know,
We've discussed that. I want to end on a happy.
but before that, I want to just like say 2 words about the media, which is, please.
Sure.
Mr. Zomlot, the Palestinian ambassador that you have, this guy lost 6 members of his family in an Israeli strike. And when he went on like some British news thing, he sat down and the lady told him, it's like, "We are very sorry for your personal fun. I'm sure you don't condemn the killing of Israeli civilians." What? In the same moment, there's another girl like called Yara Eid. She was like on Sky News. And the girl was like crying, like, "I lost 30 members of my family, 17 of them are children, I lost my best friend." And then, what did you think would happen forget about empathy.
I think a lot of people...
What about manners?
Well, I think you have to start... I've said this repeatedly. You have to start from a place of humanity. You have to look at what happened on October the 7th and feel utterly outraged and disgusted for the loss of human life.
Yeah.
And you also have to feel that for what's happening in Gaza to innocent people.
But
and if you can't feel for both sets of people, both sets of innocent people being killed, if you can't feel a sense of despair and horror over their deaths, you don't have any humanity.
Believe me, Piers. It's not really about that. There's a deep sentiment.
If on September 12th, 2001, somebody would have said to me, we're sorry for the loss of life of your family and friends who were in the tower. It's terrible. And I would say, yes, it was. I didn't lose anyone in the tower. I'm just saying. I would say, yes, it was. And they would say, it's such a tragedy. And I would say, yes, it was. And they would say, now, what do you think about the loss of life that the American military did against the Afghanistan people? It's like, there's a time and a place. That's not the time. It's not the time for the person you're talking to, because the person you're talking to lost these people. They had nothing to do with that. You cannot link this with that. They're two separate things. And so, when somebody says, I lost 30 family members, yeah, but do you agree with the attack that Hamas... I lost 30 family members. I had nothing to do with the strike that started the war, and I had nothing to do with the retaliatory strike that killed my family. I lost family. This stuff, I don't have to side and say, it's terrible what's going on, and no, I don't care about any of that. And to be fair, if we attacked Canada, and Canada was looking at a map going, where is Kris Stanton? Found him, fired a missile and hit me. Do you think I'm going to be like, look, what America did first? No, I'm going to hate Canada. I love you, Canada. But I would be mad at them because, they struck me. I don't care about what happened over here, but I would be offended because my family was killed by this strike that I had nothing to do with the first one. Now, granted, Canada didn't seek me out, but I got, if the missile was fired over there and Canada retaliates by hitting here, and this is where I am, and we're talking about a vast difference of land, yeah, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be mad that they fired the shot, yeah, but them firing that shot didn't affect me. This one did. So I'm going to be mad at them. It's just that it's not a time or a place to link one to the other. Because in that moment, you're not trying to think rationally like, you know what, that's a great question. While the 30 family members of mine are rotting in the sun, let's get into this in-depth question that you've just asked me. No, it's not the time, and I don't care.
In the Middle East, in Arabs, that the West do not look at us as equals.
Well, you know what?
So what I did, I went to the machines.
Yeah.
And I asked ChatGPT simple questions. Do Israelis deserve to be free? And you know what they tell me? Yes, Israelis deserve the right like any other people. And then I asked the same question, do Palestinians deserve to be free? And you know what they tell me? It is complex. It is a sensitive issue.
Well, it's not complex. It's not sensitive. The Palestinian people should be free.
Yeah, but
and
even the machines have...
Let me finish. And they should have exactly the same rights to freedom and freedom of expression and a way to lead their lives and to water and to power and to internet that Israelis have and we have here in America and we have back in my home country of the UK. And I want that for the Palestinian people. We've got to end it there.
Okay.
Mainly because I've worked up a hell of a hunger in 2 hours of interview, and you have brought your wife's cooking. So tell me again how I do this.
Okay, so basically...
Take a piece of this, put it in the olive oil.
Yes.
Which is from the West Bank.
Yeah, from the West Bank.
And then a little bit of this.
Yes.
Like that?
Yes, yes. This is like amazing oil coming from the olive tree. This has come from the West Bank. Since 1967, Israel have actually uprooted 800,000 olive trees, just to...
That is absolutely delicious.
I know.
Please thank your wife for me.
Thank you.
Wish her all the best and her family, particularly those who are obviously in Gaza.
Does most of the... I'm going to go ahead and end it here, but does most... Okay, this is a stupid question. Does most... Why am I going to ask this question when I know the answer is probably no? But I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Does most olive oil come from the Middle East? Because I always think olives... A good portion of them. Now, sure, yes, there's some that come from the U.S. I'm sure there's probably olive oil farms in the North Pole. What? Sure. But I'm curious what makes an olive oil better for cooking, and what one is better for eating. That's a good question. I mean, clearly it would be the olive. Would it be the olive? I don't know. Is there any... Oh, this is a stupid question again, too. I'm going to ask it. Is there any black olive oil? Are you looking at me stupid? I mean, they make oil out of everything anymore, right? Okay. Now I'm just going to start thinking about olive oil for the rest of the day. this everything that I've just watched is out the window. Now I'm thinking about olive oils. Okay. So I have a thanks button. You can donate to the channel. You don't have to. All donations are appreciated. You can subscribe if you watch more than 2.1 seconds of my video. It's mandatory. You can give a thumbs up. Thumbs up helps. And if you're somebody who likes to give thumbs down, there's this new thing we're doing. It's called the PP oil, where a bunch of us eat a lot of olive oil, and then we just pee into a jar and we send it to you. It's, I don't know. We eat a lot of asparagus, so you know that's going to smell funky. Why does it do that? Why does asparagus make your pee smell like a bird has been burning on a cinder block for like a day? It's terrible. It's just, I mean, you know right away. You're like, whoa, okay. Boy, asparagus is the only thing that likes to come out the opposite end. You know what I mean? Everything else goes that way. Asparagus is like, nah, we're gonna ruin your day, bud. That's right. Yeah, keep drinking water. Yeah, no. It's fine. You're kind of like, whew, it's not going away at all. Asparagus is rude. Okay. I'm going to end this here. So until next time, have a good day, have a good night.